Welcome to another episode of Cyrus Podcast. Today I have my boy Jeff T Osborne. He just got off stage from a keynote down the street, so I appreciate you, bro.
Come on, bro. All love.
I appreciate you. How we got connected, mutual friend, right? And then I'm like, okay, she's like, hey, can you, I think he'd be a good speaker, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, well, let's see some stuff that he does,
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw some of your videos, I was like, oh, it's a no-brainer.
Come on,
right?
man.
Like, it's a no-brainer. So I want to kind of go through your story, though, because I think that's very impressive. Like how you came to where you're at now.
Yeah.
But I want to go all the way back.
Yeah. Okay. Right? Yeah.
And because now you coach Fortune 500 CEOs. You work with, different athletes all around the world. You do keynotes all around the world. Like you're absolutely crushing it. But I don't think that's the interesting part about you.
Yeah, come on, man.
So talk to me about how did you end up here? Where did you start?
Dope, bro. So I started off not too far from here in Huntington Beach.
Okay.
And so growing up, my dad was in the Marine Corps. So we lived on the Marine Corps base when we were younger. And then I remember my dad getting out, and then he worked for Northrop building helicopters.
Oh, wow.
So the first house that we got was in Huntington Beach. So at that time, I didn't know nothing about color. I wasn't focused on that. All my friends skated and they surfed. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I didn't really notice that I was the only black kid in the group, right? So, and so I started skating at Huntington Skate Park and then Murdy Park and Ocean View High School. And so as I started getting older, I didn't really see color. And then I would start getting chased out of skate parks by the skinheads. Still didn't even recognize the color. But then as we started going, we had a moment where my family ended up becoming homeless. We get a knock on the door and the sheriff is there and they're like, oh, you guys got 2 hours.
Wow.
And so I'm in the 6th grade when that happens. My parents just get a house. They don't know about real estate, don't know about the deals of real estate. And so a real estate company, from what I understand, said, hey, listen, if you sign the house over to us, we'll sell it back to you at a cheaper rate so that you'll be able to save money. My parents, not really knowing, thought, okay, these are honest people. And they end up taking the house from my parents.
Wow.
And because they signed it over, there was nothing they could do. And so here we are, I'm in the 6th grade, I'm homeless now. So we go from having a house in Huntington Beach, growing up great, when it comes to that, great friends. Yeah. Football was my only outlet at that moment in skating. And then we go from that to sleeping in a 1992 4-door Lexus, and there's 6 of us.
Wow.
And then we go from that to being able to get a motel when we could afford it. And now this whole time my dad's in he's in Amway. They're all self-development, and then he's in the faith. So they're going to church still. They're talking about God is good. And I'm watching my parents pretend like they're not hungry so that we could eat.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, no, that's your God. I don't want nothing to do with God. All this self-help stuff, I don't want nothing to do with it. And bro, that was the season in my life where I started recognizing that I started having an identity crisis. So I would start making up these stories and these lies about my mom, my grandma won the lottery. My uncle's the owner of SeaWorld. All these stupid, asinine, lies. But what I was doing in that young age was not recognizing that I hated the fact that I was homeless. I hated the fact that I didn't. So I would create these characters of this world that I could live in because I thought people wouldn't like me because I was homeless.
Yeah.
People wouldn't like me because of my situation. And then we ended up moving to Long Beach.
Okay.
And living in a 2-bedroom apartment by Wilson High School off of 7th and Eximino. We lived right there in our grandmother's house. My dad couldn't fit in her little apartment. That apartment must have been maybe 700 square feet.
Wow.
And so it was in there that I would just tuck away, and I would get away from, in football and and skateboarding. And right around that moment, man, I just started dealing with even more of an identity crisis until we moved inland. And when we moved inland towards Diamond Bar, Chino Hills, it was the first taste that I had where I was surrounded by a lot of black people.
Yeah.
And so they made fun of me because I was a skater. I spoke proper. I'm listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, 9 Inch Nails. You know what I'm saying, bro? They're like, dog, you don't even fit. What's wrong with you? But because I was a baller, that was the only thing that connected me. And so, bro, I was too white to be black, and I was too black to be white.
Yeah.
And so I struggled, bro. And I wanted people to like me. And so that's where people pleasing started setting in. And my brothers ran away from home and joined gangs at around 13 years old, man. And them running around the streets of Pomona and doing that, my parents trying to do the best they can. We were latchkey kids.
Yeah.
So we kind of raised ourselves in that respect. And bro, just through that process, like I was battling having people like me. So I found out the things I could do to get people to like me.
Yeah.
If I was funny, if I was this, but I never knew where that would lead to, man, until my senior year. I'm balling out. I'm supposed to go to play college football. And I end up riding around being a stick-up kid. And I was the driver to some boys on my team who ended up pulling some armed robberies. And that night, bro, we're in Culver City. I'll never forget it. We're driving. I'm about to go. I'm in that middle between summer and college ball.
Yep.
And we start trying to rob people for stupid stuff. And I'm the driver. And as I'm driving, this crash unit is behind us. We go to rob this guy. And I'm in the driving position. And dude, this guy's driving, he pulls out Mace, and Mace is one of the guys. So we got this 22 revolver in the car, and they're like, turn around. So this guy's running for his life from us. And I turn around, I'm not even thinking, I'm blacked out. And one of the guys has the gun outside the door, and he's pulling the trigger, trying to kill this guy. It's a revolver, fully loaded, but the gun doesn't go off. The guy disappears, and the Mace is there. We're by Fox Hills Mall, that area, and the freeway's right there, but we can't see. We're panicking. I'm 18 years old. They're 17 years old. And, bro, we end up driving. Culver City crash unit pulls up behind us. One cop car turns into 4 cop cars. 4 cop cars turn into an additional 5 K9 units. 2 helicopters on us, guns drawn on us. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? And they arrest me. And I'm in the Culver City substation. And that's when they came to me like, yo, you're robbing people and everybody's putting it on you and saying that you were the ones. And I was like, wait, what? I never got out the car.
Yeah.
Victims never identified me. And bro, I get thrown into LA County Jail. And at that time, I'm 18 years old, never seen the back of a cop car. Mind you, I'm from Huntington Beach.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretending to be this hardcore gangster rolling around on the streets. I'm fighting, but at the core of who I am, it didn't match who I was, bro. But because I wanted validation so bad, it led me there. Which I'm in 05 now. So that's when the biggest race riot happened.
Yeah.
I got a scar on my neck from when the Mexican gang member came at my neck with a razor blade to try to cut it open in the middle of super maximum security. I'm at super max because my points are so high. And dude, I just kind of recognized at that moment, I said, okay, I got to change something. I'm a man of faith. So I was like, okay, God, I'm done running.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you want from me, like
But you had said earlier, like your parents were like, God is good, everything's gonna happen, blah, 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 and you're like, no chance.
Oh no.
So where was that shift?
But when we were homeless, like I'm sleeping in the car, you're telling me.
Yeah, but that was where you were saying that you were like,
I'm done.
That's not my God.
Yeah, it's not my God.
So then you shifted back when you were in prison, right?
Yeah.
But like, what was that shift? Like was that was it like all of a sudden, oh shoot? Or was it like, how was that?
Yeah.
Was that like over time? Was that like?
Nah, bro. So anytime you're doing dirt, you know you're doing dirt, right? And I always felt like I had these little signs like, yo, dude, what are you doing? So that day, my wife, who was my girlfriend then, she goes, don't go. She's like, I just feel like I'm not going to see you for a long time. I'm like, you're bugging, you're tripping. Yeah. She's like, don't go. And so I go. And it's the moment where they charged me with 6 armed robberies and attempted murder. In that moment, the only person that I knew who could help me out was God.
Yeah.
I didn't have no money for no lawyer. And that's just from my upbringing, right? They say like, there's nothing that's too hard no matter where you go that you can't call on God.
Yeah.
Bro, I didn't have no money. I didn't have nobody. I didn't have nothing. So the only person that I called on was the one I knew. So I said this though, here's the caveat. I said, okay, God, they say I can call on you. So I'm going to read whatever book. If I get a Bible, I'll read it. But you got to show me you're real. If you don't show me you're real, then I'm done.
Yeah.
And so, bro, that started my journey. But not only it wasn't only that, but it was also saying, man, like, as I started going through processing, I'm stripped butt naked.
Yeah.
I'm in there with all these men, homeless guys that make you, spread your cheeks and like straight humiliation. I've never experienced anything like that. And they're herding us through like we're just animals.
Yeah.
I'm watching officers slam guys' face against the wall. I'm watching this, bro, it was literally a zoo.
Yeah.
And that moment I realized, okay, this isn't for me, but I understand that me not knowing who I am led me to be around people that had no direction for my life or my purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then they put me in the gangbang module, which is the craziest floor because of my points.
Yeah.
So I'm in there with people who are fighting life sentences for triple murders. They're not, bro, they got access to us like this.
So what's funny is like, I was like maybe like 15, 16. And I remember like, I remember I got in trouble. Basically we were walking to go get burgers in Torrance. And I coughed or something like that. And then I like spit. I spit on the sidewalk. And then all of a sudden I just hear whoop whoop. And me and my 3 friends all get pulled over to the curb, 6 cop cars, we're sitting there. And I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
You know, like what, like, and I'm sitting there and I'm nervous, right? Because you're 16 years old, you're just nervous that cops are there. Like, is that, you know, you're like, what the hell? So I'm sitting there and they keep asking me questions. I'm like, yes, ma'am. You know, yes, sir. And then a lady comes and she asks me, I'm like, yes, sir, sorry about that. And then the guy goes, don't be talking to my partner like that. Basically, because I said sir on accident instead of ma'am, right? So I was like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, right? I have to go to court for this I'm juvenile, so my mom's with me, right?
For spitting?
For spitting on the sidewalk, right?
Okay.
Just put this in perspective.
I got you.
And she, the lady that was there, the cop had asked me, she was like, are you, she goes, are you on any medication? Like, why are you nervous? But I was like, I take albuterol, I have asthma, that's why I spit, like, blah, blah, blah. And the partner's like, yeah, are you on drugs? Like, basically, like, he was trying to say I'm on drugs, that's why I'm like, but you already know, because you talked to me for 30 minutes, I got ADHD. I'm like over here, talk over there, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how I am, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, fast forward, I have to go to court for this, and I go to court, and the cop had said that I repeatedly spit at him. And so on the mic, he kept touching his mic, like, as I'm like talking to him, you know, and I was just like, so he kept saying that I spit at him. So in the transcript, it's like, Cyrus spit, I told him not to spit, he kept spitting at me, spit on me, blah, 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 right? So then the judge thankfully like looks at me and she's like, hey, look, you can do this many hours of community service, you can do this, you can do 30 days in juvenile detention or whatever, or you can do, it was like, I don't know, like 10 hours of anger management or something. It was like something like that. And I'm like, these are my options. I was like, I'll do community service. Like, I'll do 50 hours of community service. They're like, yeah, but you got to pay for the community service, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, like when my dad passed away, like we didn't have a lot. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I was like, and she was like, but the anger management's free. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm sitting in the room with all these people that had just got out of juvie at my anger management classes. Like, legit, like angry people. Yeah. Man, like we sit in the room and I'm sitting in the room and I'm like, I sit there, it's my first day and they're like, hey, so how's your week this week to all these people? And the one of the guys is like, man, it was really good. I felt like I had my anger under control. Like I lost it a little bit on this one guy. Like I ended up like curb stomping this guy, blah, blah, blah. So I got back with my PL, like blah, blah, blah. Like, and I'm like, so it comes to me, they're like, what happened with you? I was like, I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want
to talk about it. I'm just going to sit here and like, you know? Yeah. So I can only imagine you being in your shoes, but with like killers.
Bro. And
that feeling, I know that feeling is insane.
Every prison movie that I ever watched went through my head.
Yup.
Bro, so I sleep with my back towards the wall, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, y'all ain't getting your boy, like, ain't no way, right? And so I'm in there, dude, but it's the worst feeling. And I think you feel this where I didn't realize that the guys in the car end up robbing. I was at getting a tattoo, and they asked to use my car to get some chips and soda and robbed an additional 2 people and actually got cash and car keys. So what they were charging me for was for the one that I wasn't even at.
Yeah.
So I didn't fit the description. I was 6'1". I had braids at that time. That was a Marion face. So I had my little beads, bro. You know what I'm saying? I was on that, you know what I'm saying? And dude, but I'm watching these people lie on the stand.
Yeah.
And I felt so helpless because there was nobody that could help me. I'm in the middle of these race riots. And so, bro, like I just made this commitment that I was like, yo, number one, I'm like, all right, God, show me you're real. But number two, the second thing that changed everything, I said, if I get a book, I'm going to read everything I can about bettering my mindset, because prison is a matter of the mind.
Yep.
Like when you're there in jail, it's like double incarceration. You're incarcerated physically, and it's the institutionalizing of your mindset, your thoughts. You're not your name, you're a number. Yep. They tell you when you can eat, where you can sleep. You can't walk in between tables because that's a different racist area. So there's politics. And so all the things that you just learn how to operate within this space, dude. And I'm going and I'm fighting this case for 8 months. I'm in there. And then they say, Mr. Osborne, you're getting a good deal. We're going to offer you 16 years to life.
Wow.
And I remember saying, deal? And they go, yeah, your crime is going to get 32 to life. And I was like, this is my first offense, never been in trouble. And I remember they said, well, if you go to trial, you'll get off scot-free, but your crime, you will get 32 years to life. Or you can take whatever deal. And that crime at that time, bro, he was claiming he was from a different gang. They were going to kill him. So I get the nickname. So here's where it gets crazy, okay? I get the nickname Preacher Boy. So they call me Preacher Boy because I started reading the Bible and I was like, well, if Jesus could pray for people and they could get better, then why not try?
Yeah.
So, bro, I was on the bus. I'm shackled. We in county, so we're leaving Men's Central Jail. I'm handcuffed to my hands and my wrists. We on the bus, and I stand up one day and I was like, hey, y'all mind if I pray for everybody on here? And they're like, nah, go ahead. So I pray. God, you love them. Do something amazing. Change their heart. Amen. Everybody's like, amen. You know, they do their thing. Some of the Muslims do their thing. And I get off, and then all of a sudden, bro, people started coming back in, crying and hugging me. And I'm like, yo, what's going on? They said, man, the police got caught tampering with evidence. They're letting us go. Oh, man, the so-and-so got caught lying on the stand. I'm getting sent home. Then some people were like straight up guilty, getting sent home. But, yo, your boy's still in there.
Yeah. So
I'm like, God, hold on. I don't know this faith thing, but it ain't supposed to work like that. Like, maybe I got to reverse these prayers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe I got to have someone else
pray.
You know what I'm
saying? Like, hey, somebody sprinkle it on me or something, right? And, dude, I kept doing it. And then the guy would come out, and one guy came through the holding tank. So going in between court, you would be in these holding tanks, bro, for like 13 hours.
Yeah.
Concrete, everything cold. You're like cuddled up. They may throw you some meat in there. You may eat, but you're in there. People are taking dumps like right there. And so you're waiting like an animal. So this guy came in fighting with people. He was mad. They threw him in there. He's all lumped up. And I'm looking at him like, oh, shoot, maybe I should pray for him. Jesus said you could pray for people and they might get healed. I was like, hey, man, and what's up? And I said, hey, bro, you good? No, like, what you asking? I said, no, bro, I'm like asking, like, you don't. Yeah. Because in this space, there's different ways to say you good.
Exactly.
You good means multiple things. Like, you checking on somebody, hey, bro, you good? Yep. Yeah, I'm good. If somebody comes at your side, it's like, yo, you good? Yep. You're like, yo, I'm good. And then somebody does something, you're like, hey, you good? Or we straight? So, it comes. So he didn't know what I was saying. So I was like, nah, man. Like, he's like, nah, my back hurts. I've been having back issues. I was like, yo, you mind if I pray for you? And he looked at me like, well, I say, man, I don't know. Jesus did it, so maybe I can help you. So I laid my hand on his back. I said, God help him. Boom. He starts moving his back. Like, what the? Like going crazy. So I started seeing the change that my mindset could make. And long story short, man, I ended up taking a deal so that my crime could get a lesser deal. And I was like, man, 16 years to life. I'm in Chino State Prison on the level 4 yard, but they throw me in solitary confinement. So I'm locked down 24 hours a day in pitch black. I'm on the tier where an officer was killed, so they don't even allow you to eat with spoons. So I had to, if I had a carton of milk, I had to try to make it a spoon, or I would eat with my hands. Locked down 24 hours a day. They took everything from me except the Bible. So I'm just reading. And dude, while I was there, people go crazy in there. I couldn't get visitations. So that was where I started recognizing, okay, the strongest asset I have is in my mind. And so if I can change my mind, I can change some things. And here's where it got crazy. I'm there and I get to go work laundry. Well, one of the head generals of the Nazi lowrider prison gang is working laundry with me. So I'm sitting there and we working laundry, and this dude has a swastika the size of my head, has lightning bolts that symbolize you killed blacks and all these things. And so he's sitting across the table like this. So I'm looking at me, at this long beard, shaved head. And I look at him, I'm like, hey man, you look stressed out. And he looks at me and looks around like
you talking to me?
Do you know who I am? Like, this chocolate boy lost his mind. Like, I can kill you.
Yeah.
And so, bro, this is what got crazy. He was like, nah. He's like, you would be stressed out too if you had 27 felony counts against you. And so I said, oh yeah, you got me. He goes, I said, hey, but I know a good attorney. He goes, what? I said, yeah, he knows the judge, he knows the DA. Like, he's connected to everybody. He was like, yo, I ain't got no money for that ish. And I'm like, no, he's pro bono. He's like, who? I said, Jesus. Bro, hey, this dude looked at me like, bro, what is wrong with you? Like, you crazy kid? But he laughed a little bit. So, bro, so we start building this friendship. So he goes and he would get a cup of coffee and hide it behind a bale of laundry for me. And we would share. He would tell me about his daughter. Come to find out, like, his wife is Puerto Rican. His daughter looks like black with like frizzy hair, but he's the head general. Like, it's crazy, bro. Yeah. So we start walking around. We become the closest friends. He got a swastika the size of my head. So one day he comes to me and he goes, man, he used to draw portraits. And I'm saying this for a reason. He drew a portrait of my girlfriend, who's my wife now. Yeah. And I paid him 4 soups. That's how you pay people in there, with commissary. Soups, honey buns, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I pay him and he goes, he comes to me, he's like, man, I'm out of drawing material, so I can't make no money. My wife is locked up too. She's pregnant. I got nobody on the outside. So I tell my wife, Nadia, and I said, babe, she goes, yeah. I said, I want you to take all my money on my books. I snuck his booking number. And I said, to put all my money on his books. She goes, what? I said, just do it. So I go to him. I said, hey, bro. I say his name. And I said, hey, I want you to go to commissary, like go to store. He's like, man, I got no money. I said, come on, bro. They call me preacher boy. My God's in the miracle business. And he's like, all right, fine. So I said, but when you fill it out like you're expecting something big. And so he goes to fill out store and he looks at me and goes, preacher boy, look, tosses it in. The next week comes, commissary comes. They're calling everybody's name. They don't even call his name. So I'm on the back bunk and I'm reading my Bible, just kind of chilling. And all of a sudden he's about to turn and walk away and they yell his name. He turns around, bro, and this fat bag gets pushed through the bars because we're in dorm living. Yeah. He grabs it. And he's just stuck and doesn't move. He walks to the back, Cyrus, and he says to me, how did you know? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, my own people wouldn't do this for me. Now his eyes are watering. He goes, I've killed your people. And you would do this for me? Why would you do this for me? And tears are just streaming down his eyes. And I was like, because my God did it for me. Later that night, bro, he just walks away. Later that night, he goes, dude, whatever it is you have, like I want. Whatever that piece is. And so just by showing the act of love, his life was forever changed. And that's when I realized, bro, the greatest currency that we can give people is love.
100%. 100%. That's like people, I think that like we get so confused and distracted is what it is, right? By this and that, and we see the watches and we see the cars and we see this, and we get distracted with all these things that we want. But the reality is like, and then we get this like we're like, oh, we want to change the world, so we want to create a nonprofit one day, and then one day we want to do this, and one day we want to do that. Once we have enough money, we'll be able to do this.
Right.
But the reality is like changing the world is like literally breaks down to one freaking person at a time.
One person at a time, bro.
And one comment.
Yeah.
Like you can change someone's life, which is so crazy because I told you my story, like it was one phone call.
One phone call, bro.
Right? You could change someone's life by saying, hey, your suit looks good today.
Yeah.
Because you could be feeling insecure about it that day. And you walk into your next meeting feeling insecure, and then something goes wrong, and you what?
Yeah.
You burst out at somebody, blah, 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 yada, yada. But you shift that positive thought process. That's what actually changes the world. It's like this, it's the butterfly effect.
Bro, you talking now.
Right? You know what I mean? And like, and going to what you're saying is like love, like that's all we're here to do. Like, period.
I love when people ask me, because we pastored a church, right, for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Or we pastored for like almost 10 years, right? But not just one church, multiple churches. And man, we end up launching one of our churches on the west side of the Coachella Valley. So that's like Palm Springs Cat City was where we were at. So that's like the LGBTQ like hub.
Yeah.
And I remember, man, the first time that I went to go announce that we're opening up a church, they have Gay Day out there. So it was a Gay Day parade awards night. And I'm at the city council about to announce that I'm opening up a church.
Yeah.
So in comes different people. You got some drag, you got some regular people. They're in there with their flags. And so I got to announce that I'm a pastor at that time and like, I'm going to launch a church. And so I remember my day comes. My time comes. And I just said, you know what I love? The 2 greatest commandments is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. It says the second is as the first. Love your neighbor as yourself. But here's the last part. On these 2 hinge all the laws of the prophets. In other words, the 2 greatest commandments that for me, that I believe that God gave us, that he says is to love him and love your neighbor.
Yep.
And so in that moment, by me just simply saying, and you guys are all my neighbors. So regardless of where you are, what you stand for, my job is to love you well. Yeah. I want to love you so well that you would say, dude, who is this dude?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I can tell you that when you talk about love and you talk about what that is, there's a difference between acceptance and approval, right? There are certain people that say, well, if I love you, that means I approve of everything you do. Nah, I don't have to approve of it, but I accept you for who you are.
So I could go Bible talk real quick, but I'm gonna hit that. But the book of Daniel is tolerance and integrity, right? Mm-hmm. Look, we could talk about religion, we could talk about this, we could talk about that. When you break down like every single sacred scripture with whatever religion it is, it comes down to 2 things: be a good person and love other people. Period. It doesn't matter the religion. I know that's the case, right? Karen Armstrong, she's one of the most well-known scholars on ancient religious texts. She reads all of these different scriptures, the Quran, everything. And she said it in one of her books. At the end of the day, all of these books, they say the same core values: love other people and be a good person, right? And then so I look at, again, the book of Daniel in the Bible, and I look at something like that and I say, look, if you don't believe in what I believe in, that's okay. That's okay. But just look at the stories.
Right.
Because you learn from experiences in life, but they don't need to be your own.
So
this book's been around a while. So let's look at the stories, right? And so you look at the book of Daniel and you look at that story as a story, whether you want to believe it was a true fact or not. That's your choice. Right? But it's all about tolerance and integrity. That Nebuchadnezzar said what? Hey, you got to do what I do, blah, blah, blah. You got to eat my food, blah, blah, blah. And Daniel said, hey, just let me eat my food. Let me do what I do. And you guys can do what you do. And Nebuchadnezzar was like, okay, right? The gist, right? And he's like, what the hell? Throws him in the lines. Hey, let me do what I do. You do what you do. That's okay. Right? But that's what life's about. It's loving other people, being tolerant, but having the integrity to keep your own beliefs.
See, and I think that's the thing where you look at it is, I'm going to preach. You ask me what I believe, I'm going to share what I believe. You ask me what the Bible says, I'm going to share what the Bible says. But at the end of the day, again, my job is to be able to love you so well that you say, man, what is it that's inside of them that's different? What is it that's inside of them? And so when you look at, the text, when you look at Jesus, he understood that I can love people, but I'm going to still stand on what I believe in.
100%.
And I think that at the end of the day, as we begin to move through this, I begin to recognize while I was there, that there were people who were Muslim, there were atheists, there were people who didn't, but one thing they couldn't deny was that there was something about my life that was drastically different. That I was somebody who chose to love beyond where they were. Now, I'm going to let God be God at the end of the day. We all go stand before him at the end of the day, and whatever that looks like is what it looks like. But while I'm here, whether I'm at a Starbucks, whether I'm walking the street, you're going to say, yo, that dude, Jeff, I don't know what that energy was that he was throwing off, but I freaking love him. And when you talk about that butterfly effect, I think it's loving people enough to be able to pull things out of them that they can't see.
100%.
It's loving people enough to compliment them and smile and say, yo, dude, I love those kicks. I love that shit, man. I love your hair. I love your shades. And you'll be surprised at how many people we could affect by getting outside of ourselves and being able to see somebody else. And I think that's what began to mold me and shape me, was the unconditional love that God showed me in my life. And when I was terrible, when I was a sinner, when I was a dog, when I was all those things, it was the unconditional love that my wife showed me, where I heard my boy Kevin Seals said this, man, and he said something that was incredible businessman. He goes, dude, with my wife, I was the toxic boyfriend, and now I'm the amazing husband.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think I was a little bit of both, but while I was there, man, it got me to a point to where I was doing so much change that they called me back up. I was on a level 4 yard. They moved me from solitary confinement. My cellie was 21 years old with 7 life sentences.
Yeah.
And I just began to just give them hope and let them see another light. So you could be in here, but what could you do with your life? What could you do with your legacy?
Yeah.
How can you impact somebody's life, right? And so I go back up to court and they said, man, you got a letter on your behalf from the assistant warden. I said, what? Never saw him, never met him, never shook his hand. He said, it's a good young man. We had a bump in the road. So they changed my number to what's called the Z number, which means it's like a 90-day observation where they're going to watch you for 90 days. And if you are clean, then you good. You get to get off. You got a PO, but if you violate, you get in any fights that validate the accusations against you, then you're going to get that time.
Yeah.
And so, bro, they gave me another opportunity and a chance at life. And when I got out, I just said, man, I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure that people don't lose their identity based on what they've done, where they've come from. And that's where we at, bro.
So when that happened though, like when you have this drastic change in life with identity, right? We talked about mine earlier, but like identity, right? Even going from the quote unquote negative that you were in to the positive that you're in, you still go through this identity crisis.
Absolutely.
So what was that push and pull, or is that push and pull?
So what's crazy is when I got out, I got to play basketball for a Division II Christian college. So
Okay.
I similar to you, I was like, oh shoot, I don't know what I'm going to do. Nobody will hire me. I got a strike and 6 armed robberies that come up. McDonald's wouldn't hire me. So I was like, oh, I love God, so I guess I got to go be a pastor. Bro, I didn't even finish first semester of my seminary before I got kicked out.
Yeah.
Like, bro, and they were like, there's no calling on your life.
Yeah.
And when I tell you, they ran me through the mud. So I was like, forget it. I'm going to go back into the streets even worse. And so I went back in and got arrested 6 months later for running a counterfeit money operation. So then I got 7 felony counts against me, making and laundering fictitious money after I just got a second chance.
Yeah.
Right? The reason why is because I kept trying to do right, and people would say, yeah, you're hired, you're amazing. And then when they would see my past, they would treat me like I was a monster.
Yep.
So I said, okay, then I'll show you a monster. There's no hope. There's a verse that I love that says, where there is no vision, people perish.
Yeah.
And so I didn't have a vision. It was where, not when, but where. I didn't have a vision for anything in my life because there was no way out of it. And so I get arrested, and then I get another miracle again. The 7 felonies get dropped down to 7 misdemeanors, and then down to me saying I had 1 fake $20 bill. And I got and it was a misdemeanor, so it came off my record. So I'm like, okay, God, you trying to give me a message? I got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening when I got out, I wanted people to like me so bad because I felt so unqualified that me being a people pleaser when I was young, I grew up with a form of physical abuse growing up. Yeah. And so when we start people pleasing, what we do is we magnify for me, I tell what people pleasing is magnifying the opinions of man rather than your creator.
Yeah.
And when you magnify man's opinions more than who you were created to be, more than God, then you start making them your God.
Yep.
They become your resource. So it's almost like when you're a kid, I tell people like this, when you're a kid, when you're in the doctor's office and they want you to act a certain way, and you want to play, you have ADHD, right? So you're running around, they tell you, look, if you just relax, when you're done, you'll get a sucker. When you're done, you get an ice cream, right? So the challenge is, bro, is that we get trained that if I behave in a way that's different and somebody has something that I want, if I change my behavior, then I can get what they gonna give me. But nobody tells us as we're adults, we're supposed to change out of that.
Yeah.
So anytime somebody dangles a relationship or an opportunity in front of you and you tell yourself that they're your source, you'll become somebody that you know you're not called to be because you told yourself that they're the only person who can give me this love. They're the only person who can give me this affection. So here I was, bro, 31 years old, traveling around the world. I'm pastoring a church. we just hit 700 on Easter. I'm at all these conferences. This has got to be it. We got a new house in La Quinta. Like, we good. I have a heart attack. 31 years old. And I was vegan, bro. You feel me? Like, and people are like, yo, when you had a heart attack, what was the first thing? And I was like, the first thing that went through my head was like, dang, a brother should have had some ribs. Like, if I'm gonna go out, like,
I should at least say it.
You know what I'm saying? My wife is Mexican, should have had some carne asada, like, something. But then the next thought was like, man, God, I'm not empty. But I was so afraid to tell somebody like, man, I want to go into the business world, because prior to me becoming a pastor, I was a motivational speaker, I was coaching, and I just felt like, man, this has got to be a space where I'm at. And so the reason why this is huge is because it wasn't until afterwards I read this book that's called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. A book from like the 80s or like early 90s, bro. And this girl opens it up. She has different things. She's got different beliefs, but there's this chapter that says God is your source, chapter 4. I just opened up the book. And she says what happens is we make man our God. And when we do that, we say that there's nothing else around us that can resource us. It has to be them. And when you do that, you start changing who you are. The Last Dance comes out with MJ. So he gets to a point where he's like, yo, if the ball's on, if the shot's on the line, put it in my hands. I want to be responsible for who I am and what I do. So at that moment, I do an investment with a business partner. It goes south. And this person I idolized dude, looked up to this dude, it goes south. And all these guys around the table like, oh, we're good, we can wait. And I'm like, yo, I just went to $0.
Yeah.
And
you can wait, but I did everything. That's everything.
That's everything for me. I got nothing now.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I said, you know what? For the rest of my life, I'll make sure that I never put my family's life in the hands of another man. And that's when I started studying about people pleasing, because I was like, why is it that I can stand up for other people, but when it comes to me, like I'm like I'm hyperventilating, I don't know what's going on. And it wasn't until I went through counseling and realized that people pleasing is an actual psychological disease. And there's 3 ways. It's behavioral people pleasing, where you have people pleasing behaviors. What somebody does or the thought sends you into people pleasing behavior. I'm gonna bend over backwards or what it is. The second is cognitive. That's people pleasing thinking. So it's, man, if people love me more for what I can do for them and how nice I am than for who I really am. So if I keep being nice, then people are gonna love me. If I keep being nice and pleasing them, then that means that I'm gonna have people around me. And then you have people pleasing emotions, where you're an emotional people pleaser. Just the thought of somebody giving you a negative emotional response is enough to freaking ruin your life. And so as I started dealing with this, bro, trip on this. There's something called psychoneuroimmunology. And simply stated is, the longer a person stays out of their flow of their identity, their physical body starts to break down.
It's crazy.
And the number one sign of people at the highest form of people pleasing is stroke and heart attack. 31 years old, at the height of people pleasing, and I have a heart attack. And so that moment, bro, put me in God, I'm going to choose to help people break out of the disease to please, to love who they are authentically so they can live a life by design and not default.
Exactly.
And that's what really caused me to push. And I just released my new book, Prison Break.
I love that.
And 7 mistakes to avoid that keep us chained in the prison of people pleasing. So I break down these 7 mistakes, but at the end of the day, bro, my greatest desire is to see people live in the authenticity of who they are, to love how they love, to build how they want to build. So the first thing we did was we got out the desert so quick. Bro, we moved and we're like, where do we want to live? And so we moved back to our city that we love, man. We love Chino Hills. That's home for us. And bro, I just started building my life by design. And when I started doing it, people started calling me out of the blue. Like, yo, Jeff, hey, I went from $0 to a first contract that was 10 grand that came out of nowhere. Then this company called me, this tech company called me. It was like, yo, we want to do this deal with the NFL. Your inspiration, your motivation. Can you do 32 like declarations and motivation for the NFL? Yeah, here's 40 grand. Hey, yo, the NBA love what you did. Can you do it for the NBA? Yeah, here's 25 grand. Yo, can you do this for NASCAR? Bro, I don't know NASCAR man, I don't know nothing, right? But I studied, I do it for NASCAR. Bro, the first month, I did 70 grand
Yep.
Worked less than I ever worked before. Loved my life, but I didn't understand that there was another form of depression that came over me. And that was a depression of me saying that it's okay for me to be happy.
100%.
But people don't talk about that.
No one talks about it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like you think about, I talk about this on one of my friends' podcasts recently. It's like a couple years ago, I paid my mom's house off. I got my G-Wagon, I got my car, my dream car.
Yep.
G63 AMG.
Come on.
Then went and paid my mom's house off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was all my goals.
Yeah.
My whole life.
Yeah.
And then I sat there and I was like, now what?
Now what?
People don't realize that.
Now what?
Because I hit every goal that I ever thought was like that thing. And then you hit these goals and then you're like, now what? Mm-hmm. And what you realize is that goalpost will always move.
There's always a place called there once you think you get there.
Yep. Exactly. There's always going to be what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing?
Yeah.
And that's when I shifted my definition of success to positively impacting one person on a daily basis.
I love when I saw that, bro.
Right?
In that interview.
Yeah, like that's the whole thought process, because if we do that on a daily basis, right? I win. I can't lose.
Win. Bruh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when we look at like what you're doing, where you're at, and then we talk about like the conversation of like this like being authentically yourself.
Yes.
Right? Like you look at the best artists. I by the way, I believe everybody's an artist just in a certain way.
Absolutely.
Like with business, I'm an artist. I know that.
Yep.
Right? Like, and everybody's an artist, right? But you look at artists and let's talk about music. Mm-hmm. You name your favorite music artist. Mm-hmm. Why do you like that person? Because they probably sing, they probably rap, they probably do something that you connect with.
Right.
Because they are being their authentic self. We're talking about the superstars.
Bro.
Right? You have artists that come in that do one-hit wonders, and they're up and they're gone.
Yeah.
Because what do they get stuck in?
Yeah.
How do I make another one?
Yeah.
How do I make another one? I gotta hit it again. Yeah. So they start trying to figure out what everybody else is doing and what everybody else wants. And not focusing on what they want and where they want to go and what's best for them, right? So like you look at these things and it's like, can I positively impact one person on a daily basis, and is that good for me?
Dude, I love how you said. I had a mentor in my life, taught me, like this dude, his name is Rex Crane, right? Just an incredible motivational speaker. I mean, he was in all these places. He was the first person to kind of take me under his wing, right? And teach me a lot. He says something. He says that it is he says our similarities create our comfort, but it's our differences that create our rewards.
Oh yeah.
Similarities create comfort,
100%.
but your difference creates your reward.
Well, it's crazy because you're taught from you're taught from when you're little, right? In school, our education system's taught what?
Yeah, fit in. Do what everybody else is doing.
Get in line, get A's, F's are bad, stay in this box, this box is good, and you're a good kid.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And when you get older, like you said, it's like you want to just make sure you fit in, make sure you keep your job, make sure you do this. But like, who creates your box?
Brother. Hey, and I love how you say that, because at the end, Jack Ma said this. He said, the founder of Alibaba.
Yep.
And he was saying, like, when it comes to my kids, I tell them, look, as you can get straight C's or D's. He says, but as long as you're giving your best, that's all I care about.
Yep.
However you're showing up as your best, because. And nothing wrong with students who are straight A's and straight B's. If you have a profession that is in the medical field or you need that, you better be a straight A student. I need you to go in and get in them books, right?
Exactly.
But I'm teaching my son, he plays competitive soccer, right? And he wants to have a soccer career. But he's into fashion. So he started his own fashion line.
Yeah.
Shout out to Art of Motion for my son. Jay, little shameless plug, right? My daughters are creative as well, but she's completely different. She's our free spirit. And so I'm telling my son and my daughter, like, you going and getting great grades doesn't mean you're going to have an incredible future.
Yep.
However, if you're not showing up, your grades also show your lack of discipline.
Yeah.
If you're bombing, but it doesn't define you. And so I think that when it comes to where we are in life, bro, it's recognizing. I love how you use that analogy. You wonder why these most ratchet street like hoochie mama or these thug dudes get the greatest amounts of support, and you see people who are following and they doing the songs, and they ask, well, why is that happening? I said, because more people can live vicariously through them, because those people are saying what they want to say in most cases. They're living however bold they want, and that's refreshing to people.
Correct. The truest form of art is creating art for yourself.
Boy,
right?
I love that.
And so when you look at that, it's like you talk about building your life by design, right? Like, be your own artist of your life.
Brother, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, paint your own picture.
Real.
Because at the end of the day, I truly believe, like, I would not be where I'm at. You would not be where you're at without your mistakes.
Oh, facts. What I did in my past shaped my character and made me who I am right now.
100%. And so when we look at that, it's like, now you look at that and then you have two options. You know, I talk about my car accident, you talk about your prison sentence, yada, yada, yada. Like we have two options. We go right or we go left.
Right.
And if I go right, then I'm going to double down. I'm going to do the best I can in whatever I'm going to do.
100%.
Right?
100%.
In everything that I do. If I'm flipping burgers, I'm flipping burgers. I'm going to be the best freaking burger flipper in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or I go over here and I could do whatever. I could be undisciplined, not consistent. I could not show up when I need to show up for my people, yada, yada. And guess what? If I go over here, if you went over here, no one would blame you.
Right. Oh, yeah,
because they would say, Jeff got dealt bad cards.
Yeah.
They would say, Cyrus got dealt bad cards.
Yeah.
But it's a choice.
Brother.
It's a choice on a freaking daily basis.
You got to make the choice to become great. You can't keep using your trauma and what happened to you as an excuse for you to have low standards.
Exactly.
Like, oh, this happened to me. Well, I dealt with that. I was homeless. I went to prison. My mistakes, some of those outside of my reach. But at the end of the day, my choice is how am I going to choose to respond to what happened to me? And we keep using, I shared that with one of the clips, we keep using our trauma as a badge to justify why we got bad behaviors, bad habits, why I'm terrible in my relationships. My dad was like this, my aunt. Look, I'm sorry that happened to you, but what are you going to do that's going to be different?
100%.
And so I'm black. I was chased out by skinheads. I got a felony. A brother is still on the process of getting TSA pre-check, trying to get cleared. So I ain't got to wait in that line, right? But I traveled around the world. I was digging through trash cans. You heard the story. I had every reason to quit. But at the end of the day, I was like, what's on the other side? 15 years are going to pass, Cyrus. 16 years is going to pass. It's been 16 years since I got, it's been almost 20 since I got out. But from that moment on, it was 16 years is going to pass no matter what. 5 years is going to pass no matter what. 1 year. So I might as well make that time count.
100%.
And so when people look at me, I'm not going to wait for you to validate me because of the color of my skin. I'm not going to wait for you to validate me because I grew up and we were on EBT food stamps, government assistance. I'm not going to wait for you to give me 40 acres and then I'm going to go out and I'm going to go get it. And guess what? I may have to work harder than most individuals. I may have to put on more time than individuals. But here's what you're going to not be able to say. You're not going to be able to say I'm the best at what I do. You're not going to be able to say that I'm walking into a room and you see excellence. You see that craft just like you did. Give me 30 days. Give me 90 days. First year you do 30 mil in real estate. As I began to build, the people who told me that I wouldn't accomplish nothing, I wouldn't be, when you see me standing in front of these Ivy League colleges and in front of these huge companies and I'm speaking, you see my life. Now your boy is on a golf course, golfing, you know what I'm saying? Like trying to get my Tiger Woods on. You feel me? People look at my life and now people are like, dude, I would have never known had you not told me. And that's how you know you've changed.
Exactly.
When you don't look like what you've gone through, you've transcended mentally into another level, bro.
You said something earlier that I think is really important. It's you were going through trash cans to get food and things for your family.
Recycling cans.
Recycling cans. To get money, yeah. To take that and get money to be able to provide for your family.
Facts.
And you did it with a suit on.
A suit.
And you said something. You said it's become.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Not come be.
Right.
You have to be who you want to be and be in that space and choose to be that person.
Yes.
Before everything comes.
Everything comes. And we wait until when it comes, then I can be that person.
Yep.
And so you're waiting for a result, but results only come when you work.
There's no faith without action.
Bruh.
Period.
Faith without works is dead.
Yep.
So sometimes we got more faith that we could actually be great. Regardless of everything is faith. So people don't, when I say faith, meaning when you wake up and you put your feet on the ground because you got faith, your legs are going to work.
Exactly.
You get up and you turn your water faucet on because you got faith, your water's going to work. You flick your light on because you feel like you got faith.
Driving down the street, you got faith in other people because they're not going to drive on the wrong side of the road.
100%. You go in, ain't nobody ever walked up to a pilot and said, can I see your credentials before you hopped on a plane?
Yeah, exactly.
You got faith that they actually went through it. So, we live in a world of faith. And what happens is we got more faith for the things than we do in the work that we need to put in for those things to come. And so I had to learn that, Jeff, you got to be that speaker while I'm digging through trash cans, while I'm at the EBT food line and they're staring at me and they're looking at me. I'm in a suit at the EBT office in a suit. I'm digging through trash cans in a suit. People would point at me. They would jeer at me. People told me to give up. But I understood that I needed to have my mindset become that man. I needed to become, and I couldn't wait for the results to come. And so people are like, well, then you're just lying to yourself. I said, no, I was speaking the truth in advance. I was just waiting for the results to show up. And so I think that was the big secret, bro, is life is about becoming. Who do you need to be right now? What habits do you need to be implementing right now?
100%.
If you had the money or the outcome or the business or the profession or the marriage or the kids, if you had that, who would you have to be to maintain that?
100%.
And bring them into the now?
Yep.
You feel like,
well, and that's the thing. It's like you know, it's choice. It goes back to choice. It goes back to consistency and discipline over time. A lot of people think success comes like this. Because we watch movies and the movie's an hour and this guy went from being poor to being successful in an hour, and so that's how our life should work.
Right.
That's not how life works.
Nah, bruh.
It's every day just a little bit better.
A little
Can we go from getting the cans to maybe not having to do the EBT?
Right.
To just a little change.
Bruh.
Can we do the little changes? If we do the little changes on a daily basis, with that 16 years, that's what gets you from where you were to where you're at now.
What's his name? The gentleman who wrote The Compound Effect. I think his name is Darren Hardy, I think. Somebody will check it out, but I don't know. Forgive me if I'm getting but the book is called The Compound Effect. And what he says is small incremental changes. You can't change your life overnight, but you can change your direction overnight.
Yep.
You can't change your life overnight, but you can shift your direction overnight. Yep. You can say, man, I'm going to choose to show up and be that husband or that wife that I need to be by changing my affiliations. I'm going to choose to get better by working out. Yep. I'm going to choose to do better by eating better. I'm going to choose to make 5 phone calls every single day. Yep. And I'm going to follow through. Those small little things that you do, they have a compound effect. Yep. And before you know it, you look back on your life, you're further. You say, man, I just had my head down. When you're talking about how you went to 30 mil, you did 30 mil in your first year. You said, man, I showed two showings a week. I made 4, what did you say?
4 hours of phone calls, 2 hours of door knocking, 2 open houses every single week.
And you did it every single day.
Every day.
For a whole year.
No matter what.
No matter what. And then you said the result was
closing 30 million in my first year, right? But see, that's the big issue with most people is they want the result without the action.
Boy.
Right? And that result, I didn't know what that result was. I just knew that I didn't want anybody else to outwork me. Right?
I'm a USC guy, diehard SC guy, right? But
I used to coach women's soccer there.
Bro, I saw it, dog. That's why I was like, yo, I need to holler at my daughter, bro. She plays soccer too. And shout out my I love her. But the other side of it is I remember Nick Saban had they have a saying in Alabama that says outwork yesterday.
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, my goal is to become better than I was yesterday.
Yeah. And here's the thing. This is where a lot of people get confused because they hear that. They hear you say it. They hear me say it. and they're like, oh, I got to be better the next day.
Yeah.
No, not 100% better.
Yeah.
No. If I took one step forward, I tripped, at least I fell flat on my face. That means I'm forward at least.
Right.
Like, did I move a little bit forward?
Yeah.
Not did I change my life tomorrow? No. Did I make a little bit of progress? Right? Like, you fall in love with the process, then progress comes.
And everybody wants the progress, but you got to fall in love with the process. And I tell people are like, well, do what you're passionate about. Do what you love. And I tell people, no, don't do what you're passionate about and don't do what you love. And they say, well, what the freak are you talking about? I'm passionate about skateboarding.
Yeah.
I love it. Am I going to go start a skateboarding company? No. But instead of doing what you're passionate about and what you love, find an outcome that you want to produce for people that you're addicted to.
Yep.
Find an outcome that you love for other people. So I'm addicted to watching people overcome obstacles and shift their mindset to become the person that they never thought they could become. I'm addicted to that. Here's why. Because there are moments in my purpose that I don't love what I have to do. I'm not passionate about the emails. I'm not passionate about putting together proposals. I'm not passionate about doing pro formas or whatever those things are. However, I love the outcome that I produce for people. So because I love the outcome enough, when I'm not passionate and I don't love it, I still do it.
Yep, 100%.
Do you see what I'm saying?
It's the same thing I said earlier, right? Like, I used to play soccer for a living. I hate the gym.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, I hate the gym. I go every day.
Yeah.
Why do I go every day? Because I know I don't want to be the unfit.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
So I have to do this in order to do that because I want to be that. Right? In my business, I don't like door knocking. I don't like making calls. I don't like most of it. But I know that if without that, I wouldn't be doing this. Right?
I love that.
And it's that process. It's that choice. It's the daily choice, the discipline and consistency over time creates success. And that success is whatever you decided your box is.
Bro, the biggest audience that I spoke for, I remember the first time I spoke, so this guy, nobody would hear me speak. No churches, no businesses. So I used to go and create these little home meetings, motivational, little spiritual. Like, you would listen to Coldplay on 1 minute, then there'd be a little bit of Hillsong on another one, and there'd be a little Tupac on it. Like, it was all mixed up. People didn't know what they was getting, right? And I remember I would set these up and nobody would come. And I remember my first one I set up, I had 5 people: my mom, my dad, my wife, my cousin, and one of my best friends. And I did a second one and nobody showed up. I had the tables all laid out. Nadia baked desserts. Nobody showed up. So it was at my boy's house. So I took the Minnie and the Mickey Mouse, the stuffed animal from their kids. I put it on the front row of the seats and I spoke like I was speaking in front of a room of thousands of people. And I kept it on, consistent. So then 5 turned into 15, 15 turned into 25, 25 turned into 50, 50 turned into 75, 120 people being crammed in his house. Athletes, celebrities, actors, you name it, who's in there. Then one of these times that I'm doing it, bro, I was doing this for 4 years straight.
Yep.
Barely making it. Yo, if you were blessed or this helped, man, you can give a little something. And that was how I was providing for my family. One day, this guy comes. He happens to be this top guy at this network marketing company, and his name is Calvin Becerra. I meet my boy Calvin, and he says to me, bro, I got this event, and we want you to come be a speaker. And he goes, well, how much do you charge? I said, I don't know, just pay me what you paid the last guy. So they fly me out on an Indianapolis.
I've done the same line.
Bro, I didn't know. I was like, oh, just pay me what you paid the last guy, right? So I go, bro, I'm in Indianapolis. There's, I want to say 6,000 people. I'm in the suite. I go up to JW Marriott, bro. They give me the suite. I'm overlooking the NCAA college basketball museum. I'm like, holy crap. Like, this is crazy. I speak for 28 minutes and 32 seconds. I'll never forget it. I go on right before Eric Warren. Didn't know who the dude was. Yeah. I get off the stage, bro. I don't know anything about net 30s. So I'm thinking I'm going to get paid. Yeah. I didn't have no money to pay for my luggage coming back to the airport. And so I get there. I had to call my friend, ask him if he can PayPal me some money so I can cover my bag. They pay me. I get the check. The check was for $25,000. Bro, I called my wife. I said, baby, we going to Olive Garden, we rich. Like I thought, bro, I made it. But that moment transitioned into all of these other companies, all of these different players and churches and conferences and people. And the reason why I say it is because the compound effect says that if I stay consistent in who I know I'm supposed to be, I may not know when, I may not know who, I may not know how, but I know that one of these moments, something's going to hit.
Exactly.
And that moment was the moment that hit for me, bro. And the rest was history. So now I'm coaching CEOs like you. I'm speaking to Fortune 5 companies. And the first thing that I tell them is I say, tell me who you are without telling me what you do. That's identity. At the end of the day, show me who you are without telling me what you do. Like, who are you? I'm a lover. I'm a fighter. You know, all of these different things, because at the end of the day, what I'm teaching these CEOs and what I'm teaching these people, who is your identity outside of your title, outside of your position, outside of your money? That's why you see these people taking their lives because you no longer play ball. You no longer have that position, or you have a downfall. And so when you can connect to something bigger than you, when you can understand that you are not what you do, you are who you choose to be, that your life begins to change. And bro, that was the greatest gift that I found myself. So when people ask me what is success, for me, success is being authentic to who God has created me to be, no matter what circumstance I'm in. That's success. It means doing what I know I was created to do and letting everything else take care of itself.
I love that, brother. I appreciate you so much for being on, dude. We could be on here for another 3 hours. Look, I got 2 more questions for you. First question is, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, man, you guys can connect with me on jefftosborne.com.
How do you spell that?
JEFF, as in Tom, OSBORNE.com. And then it's the same thing, Jeff T Osborne on all the socials, Instagram, all that, man. I'm trying to be like you, bro.
I appreciate that. And then my next question is, you're talking to somebody that's going through something like you went through 16, 20 years ago, whatever it was. They just got their sentence and they're like, what am I going to do? What's the piece of advice you give them?
Bro, you hit me with that bomb at the last minute. Who you are isn't where you are. Or where you are isn't who you are. Because who you are is greater than where you are. Where you are right now in your situation and where you're at is not who you are. Who you are is greater than where you are. And just by one simple choice of who you get to be around, what you begin to tap into, the residue of people around you will shift and change your life. So you're bigger than your circumstances and you can change that.
I appreciate you, brother.
Come on, big dog.
Thank you so much for being here.
Man.
Thank you so much for being on, man.